The name's Magnanimous Chessimus Carlridius. Surely we had to open with that one today. The new Gladiator film being released. Is it any good? I got no clue. You'll have to let me know in the comments. And who's his opponent? The youngster Vincent Keymer, once again featured on the channel today. I absolutely love this game. I mean, have we seen chess domination like this ever in our lifetimes? This is the Blitz play section. Tata Steel tournament. Magnus with black, and that's why we've got his point of view. First up though, we get the German playing the English against the Norwegian in India. Let's go. Magnus meets him with a kind of on the board fist bump. Now we get knight f3 and he builds this banana hammock. d4 for the score. Takes, knight takes. This bishop hits the promised land and Vincent fights back with the old Maroxy bind. Magnus keeps popping those ponies out. Attacks the centre of the board. Vincent covers, and now this sneaky move, Queen b6, intensifying the pressure on d4 and the pawn on b2. And yes, you step into this gaze, but there's no good discoveries right now. This one crashes through here. So instead we get knight b5, opening the attack on the queen. Check is played, and there's a ton of opening theory here. You could block with any of those minor pieces, but this is the one selected by Vincent. We're sticking with the game. Magnus keeps on developing, and now f3 defends the center. You know, this one isn't really doing it. There's a pin there, and Magnus plays d6, developing. Bishop e2, stacking the clergyman. Both players castle. Quick king safety fist bump, exploded out. The audience appreciate it, and the commentators. This guy in commentary, by the way,
mushrooms,
the one and only Vishy Anand, absolutely loving life. And now we get bishop e6, and these are the top moves for white, but none of them were played by Vincent. I mention it because he goes queen d2, such a natural move often in these structures, but this one's still stuck. Magnus goes knight d7, excellent rotation, opens up his sniper, and after rook c1, things getting a tiny bit congested over on that queen side. Magnus brings his master blaster into the game, and now Vincent picks up his pony and sticks it on the side of the board, breaking the well-known chess principle that der Springer on dem Rimmer is an absolute Wiener Schnitzel. Is he really a general manager? Well, Magnus is about to find out, because he plays the excellent pawn break of f5. Really thematic stuff. Absolutely love the timing of this game. Magnus just weaving his web like a spider, loosening up that center and taking with the pawn here. Sure, opening his king, but he's got some attacking ideas. We're gonna see them, because this one re-enters the game looking to rotate to d4 if you play a6, but Magnus, he's got other plans in mind. He starts by centralizing this knight, attacking that c4 pawn, covered with b3, fear not. And now look at this for an absolutely impeccable attacking move. You know, test your skills if you want to. What would you play here? Top move. He goes pawn to f4.
Pooh, what a move. What a move.
Just excellent calculation, because it looks like the pawn can be taken. Free pawn, surely, but here's the trick. You now kick this knight, this wonderful connection, both sides of the board. What if it comes to d4, right? Most natural square. Well, now you take, you centralize the queen, and you've put it in the gaze of this sniper. So after check, taking back, of course, is forced, and then you pick up the queen. Really nice lines. So you cannot touch the pawn. Therefore, the bishop retreats. Magnus has gained space for his pieces. Now a6 comes, knight d4, takes, bishop takes. You know, you can't go with the queen. We just looked at that. And again, now you have to understand the themes here. For black, if you can get d5 or b5 at the right moment, you're usually doing quite well. And Magnus goes bang, plays it, gaining that space, breaking up this strong structure here, the bind. And after takes, pawn recaptures. You can't win a pawn, because if knight takes, you lose the unprotected queen. And if bishop takes, same problem, but this time you take the knight here, or same problem that you're losing material anyway. Now you get 2 minors for a bishop, and that's good for black. So we run back. This is why the pawn wasn't touched. Instead, we get rook d1, protecting that queen, therefore threatening the pawn, but before it can be taken, we see Magnus pushing p. The knight centralizes, and now, although Magnus is up on time, he doesn't quite make the best use of it here. He should go knight g6, simply cover this pawn, but he plays this move, keeping pieces on tension, weirdness, but it allows Vincent to take the pawn. He blocked the rook's defense here. You can legit capture it. Now Magnus invades with the rook, very lovely jubbly, hits the bishop on e2, but the queen slides back, covers, white suddenly in the driving seat out of nowhere. Magnus takes the pawn. He does restore the material balance. However, although he's invaded with the queen, this is actually good for white if you find some of the best ways to repel the queen and attack. This is one of them, for example. Rook a1, queen c2, game goes on. However, Vincent starts with knight to g3. Really natural idea, attacking this powerful piece, but he's overlooked the very, very annoying bishop c2, setting up the old attacking seesaw, and you wouldn't have been able to play that if you'd have forced this queen to c2. Plus your rook would have been on a1. These are the differences. And now what to do? Move the rook, lose the pawn, right? And what a massive pawn it is. Now you should take on e5 here. Best move. Then if black wins the exchange, you can crash through, start attacking the king. You actually checkmate in these lines. And if instead of taking that exchange, you take this bishop here, well, now you can land bishop c4, and you save this pawn here, save the rook. It's a roughly level game. This was how to go, but Vincent didn't find it. Low on time, he plays rook d2, given the question mark of shame, because Magnus takes the pawn, and what a runner this one is now. Now you should go queen g5, surely. Alireza plays that in a heartbeat, right? Attack the king, but no, we get takes here. Few Magnus fans bleating. Possibly it was done based on a miscalculation. You know, maybe now you go rook b2, right? Then win the pawn. But this is a disaster. Again, the same tactical themes. And here you hit both king and rook. Even after rook f2, you're absolutely killing it. So rook b2 no good. Vincent plays knight h5, going after that pesky piece. It retreats. Now f4, kicking these pieces around, but Magnus calmly drops back. Double whammies that central bishop. So we see takes, king recaptures, bishop b5, hitting that one there, but Magnus finds a lovely sneaky retreat with bishop f7. Counter attack. We see this exchange of prisoners here, and now with the pawn under fire, Vincent defends and Magnus has time to drop back. Clear the runway for this one to start flying. Now rook b2 attacks it, b3 played, and both players start marching in the monarchs, improving the pieces here. Both low on time, blitzing out their moves. King f6, and now you should carry on with centralizing the king. Black remains better, of course, but h3 was played, creating a fresh target, and this is what Magnus does so well. Number one move, or number two move here, sorry, is rook g8, attacking the newly created weakness. He blitzes it in second. What a player. Rook g2 covers, but the bishop centralizes, kicks this one back and advances the pawn. It's deadly, it's on the way. The square's covered, but what a distraction. g4 is now played, these pawns are exchanged, and you should now immediately go bishop a2 to cover this queening square. But Magnus starts with this, just gives Vincent a moment to blockade like this. First he checks, then he drops back the bishop here, and it's not so simple for Magnus to make progress. He starts with this pawn to e6 move, but if Vincent had found this rook d1, just holding the fort steady, not so simple to make the progress here. The king's a bit blocked out. How do you improve that? Pushing pawns, not necessarily going to help the cause. Maybe then you even go f5. You can improve the rook, but where's it off to? The king just waits. So not such a simple conversion. However, Vincent plays right into Magnus's hands with this move, because after captures, This one taking back, now Magnus achieves this bishop a2, and with the pawn push on the way, you have to blockade. These are exchanged, rook recaptures, and this is simple gravy, because this rook's now completely tied down. If this king tries to cover, you start running the second pawn, or you check, or whatever, and if you run the king back to win the pawn, well, this is a sample endgame. You simply exchange the rooks, and this is lost. Make sure you don't push the pawn here. Take the opposition, put the horse before the cart, as they say. That's how you run the one down. And of course, you don't make a knight, you don't make a bishop. You probably ought to make the queen, and I think Magnus knows this checkmate. Just to show you how it could happen, in case you don't know, this is the finish we could have got. Magnus Carlsen taking it home, again finishing top of the Blitz standings, but boy were there some exciting games, and not all of them going his way. Hope you enjoyed. Do smash subscribe if you did, and have a look at the video on screen for another epic game of chess. Cheers.